Hello, my name is David Raven. I'm a Road Safety Officer for the Safer Essex Roads Partnership. I'm here today to speak to you about our Surround a Town events. So, what is a Surround a Town event? This is a multi-agency event which allows each partner to contribute their skills and expertise to make this a visually impacting road safety initiative that, as the name suggests, creates a ring around the selected town. When we first started with Surround a Town events, we used to target the main arterial roads in and out of the town and have a pop-up education centre for seatbelt offenders. They would attend on the day instead of receiving a fine. As you can see on the map, the plan is to have a footprint that is as big as possible so the residents, local people and people passing through will see some road safety activity in progress around the town during the day. As time has gone on, we have had to adapt our events to maintain the high level of quality interactions we still deliver today. We have achieved this by utilising as many different resources available to us, including local community speed watch groups who hold monitoring sessions in their villages. Also, the North and South Essex Parking Partnership. They enforce the parking around schools during drop-off and pick-up times, but these are to name a couple. So how do we organise these events? As with all our events, we are led by the data that is collected by Crash. The data is then examined by our data analyst, and the information retrieved is used to determine which towns in Essex are the priority for this type of event. Once we've chosen the towns and the dates for the events, we circulate this information with our partners so we can all then start to plan. We concluded that we needed three approaches to interact with the public on these events. Number one, enforcement. Depending on the sites chosen for enforcement, the police would then deploy a mixture of AMPR, motorcyclists, mobile units and on-site spotters. Our focus on the day is the fatal four: speeding, seatbelt, mobile phone distraction and drink and drug driving. The offending vehicles are then brought to the enforcement site for processing, which in turn creates the opportunity for road safety officers to interact with offenders to offer advice and education at the roadside. In a couple of the pictures on your screen, you can see some of the issues that have been spotted whilst out on events. Firstly, you can see a courier who has loaded his car to the point he has obscured his vision significantly. Also, a taxi passenger who thought it was okay to transport a very large wooden pole by holding it out of the window in such a fashion we could only describe as jousting. When a vehicle has been brought into an enforcement site, it gives us a great opportunity to check other possible issues. As an example, we check that child seats are correctly fitted, and if not, then we can offer advice and guidance. We also have road safety staff who are trained to use a TrueCam device. They are deployed into the surrounding areas and villages to enforce speed limits and to be a visual reminder to drivers to observe the speed limits. On one occasion, we recorded a vehicle travelling at over 50 miles an hour past a school in a rural area where the speed limit was set to 30. We also have school speed watch sessions throughout the day at local schools. My colleague will talk to you a bit more about that later in the presentation. Number two, engagement. Engagement with members of the public is carried out in areas of high footfall for maximum impact, like town centres, town markets, supermarkets, or depending on the time of year, any special events that may be happening. So when you're planning your event, it is very important to research the town and to be flexible and inventive with your approach to make the interaction an inviting and interactive experience for the members of the public. Road safety staff work alongside our partners from the fire service on these sites. These sites are our main information points for the public to be able to speak to us directly about their concerns. On these sites, we are able to promote the Surround the Town event and explain what the whole day is about. We can have lengthy conversations about local road safety issues, and it's an opportunity to discuss our own campaigns such as Extra Eyes and Vision Zero. And 3, education. On Surround the Town events, we interact with pupils in schools and colleges. In Year 5, we carry out pedestrian training, which starts with an interactive classroom session, followed by roadside training. Theatre and education for Years 7, 8, 9 and 11. These pupils are shown different plays concentrating on different areas of road safety. And Roadster events. These events use 6 different scenarios delivered by our partners and other agencies using different learning and teaching styles. This enhances the students' experience. When the pupils return home, they will talk to their friends and their families and pass on the road safety messages that they have learnt during the day. Social media is a valuable tool for interacting with the public and giving them information about what is happening on your event in real time. You will see how your event is being received by the public, and it can be a good indicator of how visually effective the event is. As you can see from the slide, the event gets people discussing road safety. Social media can be another great way to be interactive with the public. You can share issues of the day. As an example, you can see a tweet on the screen showing a vehicle with a headlight out. Or you can set quiz questions or polls on road safety issues for the public to answer. Thank you for listening to my part of this presentation. I will now hand you over to my colleague Claire Stone, who will now talk to you about school speed watch and evaluation of a Surround the Town event.
Hello, I'm Claire Stone, one of the road safety officers who works with Dave in the Safer Essex Road Partnership. My role for the Surround the Town event is to book a school speed watch in the allocated towns. I also evaluate our Saturday interventions, including the enforcement site, public engagement site and the school speed watch. As we are data-led, this will determine the towns which are used for the Saturday, as well as the school chosen to carry out the school speed watch. Certain points are taken into account before booking a school, including speeding concerns, any past incidents and the level of traffic. The site and school chosen for the school speed watch is fully risk assessed. And the speed watch involves partnership working with our partners from the police. Various behaviour change techniques are used with speeding drivers throughout the session, which I will cover later on in the presentation. A school speed watch session involves Year 5 children being taken out in small groups with school and road safety staff, where they will see the police officer using a speed device to look at the speed of drivers passing near to their school. Any driving in excess of the speed limit will be stopped by the police officer, who will, depending on the speed that the driver was travelling at, will give the driver the option of the fixed penalty notice or coming over to myself and the children, so that the children can ask the drivers questions about the dangers and consequences of their speeding. These are the lists of the questions that the children choose from. These questions were thought up by Year 5 pupils a few years ago. As in previous years, I would ask each school to devise their own set of questions, but I found that they nearly always thought of very similar questions each time, so I formulated a set taken from the most popular. The CERT partnership has launched a strategy to reduce death and serious injury on Essex roads to zero by 2040. To achieve this, we will follow the Safe Systems approach. One of the 5 pillars in the Safe Systems is safe speeds. The school speed watch has been carried out for numerous years and has always supported this pillar. Various behaviour change techniques are used with speeding drivers, including goals and planning, shaping knowledge, natural consequences, comparison of behaviours, comparison of outcomes, identity, and scheduled consequences. Once the children have asked all of their questions, we then ask the driver if they would be willing to sign the driver contract, which is seen here on the slide at the bottom. This was designed by pupils that are participating in school. This contract is signed in front of the children, where the driver agrees to drive within the speed limits, and the driver takes this away instead of the fixed penalty notice. It is important that the children learn from the session as well as the drivers. As well as the children learning about the dangers and consequences of speeding drivers, they will also learn about why it is important to use the roads correctly and safely when they are out and about. I will now discuss how we evaluate the main part of the Saturday event, including the school speed watch. The entire event is evaluated, and evaluations have assisted us with further developing the campaign over the years. We record the types of offences and why these may occur, including the driver's age, gender, the road user type, journey purpose and distance, and type of vehicle being used. This is an example of one of the forms which is completed by road safety staff at the enforcement site. And this chart shows offender results from the first 2 years of our SAT events. This was recorded from 8 different towns, and as you can see here, seatbelt offences are the highest offences recorded, and some towns were higher than others. This bar graph shows the results from a few visits at one particular town. Other offences were recorded, including using mobile phones, not in proper control, child seat issues, speeding, eyesight concerns, no insurance or MOT, and any other offences. Again, seatbelt offences are often the highest offences recorded. The drivers or passengers are asked for their reason in committing this offence, which are also recorded on the form, and word cloud gives us a selection of these excuses along with the most common. Here we can see, for example, forgot, late for work, short distance or journey, normally wear it, and seatbelt hurts are quite common excuses. As well as staff being present at the enforcement site, road safety staff and our partners from the fire service are set up in the allocated Saturdays town shopping centres to talk to members of the public. This allows us to gauge the public's opinion of the Saturday work and the public's level of knowledge about what we do. These pie charts are some of the early results from data collected on our Saturdays. For example, 77% feel our campaigns and engagement will help to reduce casualties on the roads. One interesting pie chart shows the results for what the public's road safety concerns are. 53% responded with mobile phone usage while driving, but none mentioned seatbelts. I will now talk about the school speed watch evaluation. The school speed watch form is slightly different, but still records important data. The form also includes questions to determine if the drivers are going to do anything differently in driving after the session. This is an example of some of the answers recorded from the school speed watch. One of the questions drivers are asked is to determine what part of the session has had the biggest impact on them, either being stopped by the police, answering the children's questions, or speaking to road safety staff, or all of these. As you can see in this chart, 51% said speaking to the children, followed by 39%, all of these. It is recorded from every driver their response to the question of what they are now going to do differently after the experience, so determine any behaviour change. And here is a small selection of the recorded responses at the bottom of this slide. One that stands out is the response from the newly qualified young driver who had just passed their test and was caught driving at 42 miles per hour in a 30. They said they would now drive safer and be vigilant about speed limits. They weren't aware of their risks as a new driver until the road safety staff pointed it out to them. Thank you for listening.